Today we are going to do a bit of a different video, and in this video I am going to be announcing my relative TBR for September. The reason why I said relative TBR for the month of September is because I am participating in two readathons. One is the Summer Scare Readathon, and the other readathon that I'm going to be participating in is the RomCom-Athon. The Summer Scare Readathon takes place from September 1st all the way to the 10th, so it's about a week or so in the first beginning of September. And so those books I already have laid out, some of which were on my TBR, some were not, and I had to purchase those. However, because the Summer Scare Readathon is there and I have that TBR set up, and I also have the TBR set up for RomCom-Athon already, I don't know what I'm going to be reading between those two readathons and afterwards, so it's kind of just like a relative thing, because like I said in the last video, I'm also going to be taking the month of September off from rigorously writing, so I'll be trying to catch up on my TBR because I have a lot of books that are still on my currently reading list. So I will be at least announcing what I will try to finish during the month of September when I'm not participating in the readathons. I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm just gonna roll with it. So first we have the Summer Scare Readathon, which is being hosted by the Hexed Library, also known as Jessica Williamson, also known as Jess, or any other title that you personally call her. But Jess has decided to host the Summer Scare Readathon, and she has given us a few prompts. So here are all the prompts for the Summer Scare Readathon. And yes, I do have all of the books, kind of nailing each and every one of these. The only one that was trickiest for me was to get a book under 200 pages and to find one that was really diverse to me. But I managed to find something that had already been on my TBR, that had already been on my shelf. So I will go ahead and list all of the books I will be reading according to these prompts. For the first prompt, which I will remind you is a middle grade, for you to read a middle grade, I will be reading Minecraft The Voyage by Jason Fry. I've read a Minecraft book before by Catherine M. Valentine, I believe is the middle initial, but this one is a bit of a different spin on it. So in this one, there is a person on the overworld of Minecraft, and he is just living the chillest life of all lives, when all of a sudden raiders come and basically take his livelihood away, and so now he is left stranded, and now he is trying to explore the world with his many cats. See, I play a lot of Minecraft myself. It is a perfect way to chill, to relax, and to just not think about anything else. It's also the perfect way for me to kind of refill my well, kind of get my creative juices flowing, especially because Minecraft for me takes a different kind of creative juice. So it gives my writing creativity a little bit of a break, while I can focus on whatever I need to do in the game. For the second and the fourth prompt, I will be reading Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. I am already a huge fan of Agatha Christie's. Like, I've always wanted to give her stuff a try, so I've been meaning to try and give her stuff a little bit of a test run. I've been fascinated with the ABC Murders and Murder on the Orient Express. I never watched the movie, unfortunately, but I would love to read the book. So I also have Murder on the Orient Express for a different prompt. Halloween Party is another Hercule Poirot mystery, And it's about this girl who boasts that she once witnessed a murder, and when no one believes her, she storms off, but then later she is found dead in the apple bobbing tub. So now Poirot needs to solve two mysteries: whether she actually witnessed the murder that she said she did, or who killed her. Now that I look at my TBR for the Summer Scare Readathon, now that I look at my list, I totally forgot about the third prompt. So I just immediately thought that because people have talked about it fairly recently and people have liked it, how it's such a sweet kind of book, I decided to throw in That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, or relatively speaking. I'm coming up with the title on the spot, so forgive me if I butchered the title. Since the third prompt was something that includes demons, I just decided to throw a romance novel right into the middle of it, because why not? The next prompt that I have on here is a spooky word in the title. So the book needs to have a spooky word within the title. Could be murder, bones, death, whatever. Spooky, ghost, boo, whatever. Just it needs to have a very spooky word in the title. So for this prompt, I chose Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. This book has been on my TBR for quite a while, not physically, but it has been on my TBR for quite a while, along with a few other Agatha Christie books, such as Death on the Nile and Death in the Clouds. The sixth prompt is for you to only read at night, so whenever is nighttime, not necessarily dark, but nighttime for you, you have to read a certain book only at night. And for this prompt, I am going to be reading both The Voyage and Halloween Party at night, so I can focus on just reading those two and getting those two done while it's nighttime, basically. For the 7th and the 9th prompts, I will be reading Death's Obsession, which is a very adult romance featuring basically the god of death and a woman who doesn't seem to understand why he's chasing after her and why basically she can't die, whereas her family, her friends, her loved ones all get taken from her. And he's constantly reminding her that she is his, and she does not know why. So she's constantly chasing after him to try and figure out and to try and get near him, because she wants to die, but he does not want her to die. If that makes any sense. That's what I grasped from the synopsis. Death's Obsession is outside of my comfort zone just a little bit, and it's also under 200 pages, which took a very long time for me to figure out, because a lot of the books that are actually on my TBR in my spreadsheets on Google Sheets, not a whole lot of them are under 200 pages, aside from novellas that I've already read. So it took me longer than I would like to admit to find Death's Obsession. It was already on my TBR, but I didn't realize that it could fit in these two different prompts. For the last prompt, which is actually the 8th prompt because the last one filled both 7th and 9th, so now it is the 8th prompt, which is diverse to you as the reader. For this prompt, I will be picking up Walk in My Combat Boots by James Patterson and Matt Eversman. I have never been in the military, however, I do have some family members that were in the military, but they don't really like to talk about it all that much. So I just wanted to get kind of a first-hand account of what it was like in the military in the various different branches. So I decided to pick up Walk in My Combat Boots because it's a series of interviews about the things that people and veterans have experienced during their times in war. While I do have family members that were in the military and I am currently dating a Marine veteran, it's still diverse to me because I've never been there. I don't know exactly what it's like, and not very many of my family members like to talk about it. So I'm gonna read it to, gain a better understanding of what our veterans go through on pretty much a daily basis while they're in service. And now onto the RomCom-Athon. The RomCom-Athon is being hosted by Brianna, also known as 4 Paws and a Book, and she's hosting this between September 18th and September 24th. So in that week, I have however many books you need to read for RomCom-Athon, which is you read a series of rom-coms or any books that you feel might give you that rom-com vibe. This time it is a back to school theme, so there are 6 classes or 6 prompts for each and every book that you can read. Bree has mentioned before that 2 classes get you the Dean's List, 4 classes give you Honor Roll, and if you make all 6 classes, you make Valedictorian. Bree has announced their group book, which unfortunately I had decided to opt out from that because normally I do try and go for the group book to try and score extra points. However, I chose not to because this book is not actually on my TBR and I'm still trying to knock that down. I'm still trying to knock out my TBR. So I tried looking for stuff that only fit within those 6 classes on my own and just omitted the group book, but I do have it written down just in case. If you do want to know what the group book is, you'll have to go to Bree's channel and find where she announced the RomCom-Athon so that you can gain better details and a better understanding of what this whole readathon actually is, because she has more details on it than I do, honestly. And the fact that she's one of the people who created the RomCom-Athon, so I'm just giving her a little bit more credit because I don't want to make it seem like I own this readathon when I don't. Since there are 6 prompts, here they are, and I already have a lot of the books that could fit these prompts. I have 4 books fitting in all 6 prompts so far, which already makes me valedictorian for this. However, I'm not going to give myself those points until I actually finish these books, because for me, whenever I want to give myself credit for these books, I can't just start them and then not finish them later because I'm trying to lower my TBR, so I need to actually finish this stuff. That's the whole point of September, is for me to finish something that I've started. So I can't just start these and then put them down and never pick them back up again. So for me, these prompts only give me points per se if I can actually finish these books by September 24th. The first book that I'm going to be reading according to some of these prompts is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I've read Book Lovers by Emily Henry before, and I did like it. I did quite like it. So I enjoyed my time with Emily Henry, so I want to kind of give her another chance and see if, I guess, the writing style is the same, or see if I do indeed like Emily Henry's writing in general as a whole. Beach Read is an enemies to lovers romance between 2 writers. One writes literary fiction, the other one is a sappy romance writer, and at one point they live next door to each other along the beach, and they're stuck. they are experiencing a heavy dose of writer's block, the both of them, and so they each make a deal one night to write in each other's genres. So one person, the sappy romance writer, she writes, the literary fiction, and he has to write a happily ever after. And of course, it is not either a Emily Henry book or a rom-com book without a little bit of romance and somebody falling in love by the end. So obviously I picked this up for RomCom-Athon because I could and I wanted to. Beach read could be considered a Grump versus Sunshine trope because this prompt does deal in tropes. However, I'm not going to count it because I did take the time to look up the different tropes of the books that are on my TBR, and nowhere does it say Grump versus Sunshine. So it technically doesn't count, but it is an enemies to lovers trope, so it does fit the enemies to lovers prompt. Therefore, I kinda sorta get points for that. The next book I will be picking up for RomCom-Athon is People We Meet on Vacation by, again, Emily Henry. This book is a second chance romance between friends to lovers, and I don't think I've ever read a friends to lovers trope, or at least I can't remember if I have read any or what I read that does have it. So this is a cute little friends to lovers second chance romance between two best friends who have taken 10 summer trips together until 2 years prior to the time this book takes place. They kind of messed things up. I don't know how they messed things up, but something happened and they haven't spoken to each other since then. So now they are trying to rekindle everything that I guess happened. They're trying to rekindle their friendship and take one more vacation together. And so now the main heroine has one chance. She has 1 week to try and make things right. Will it help or will it hurt? The third book I will be picking up for the RomCom-Athon is The Perfect Date by Evelyn Lozada. This book is about a Puerto Rican single mother who has love nowhere on her mind. She doesn't care for love, it's not in her agenda, it's not in the equation of her life, and it's not in the equation of how she is trying to raise her son by herself. And then next you have Caleb the Duke, who plays for the Bronx Bolts, which is a baseball team. Duke has been essentially the playboy his entire life, so he's running around, he's getting around basically, but now he's trying to fool the press into thinking he's settled down and finally started to cool off now that he's blown off some steam. He meets Angel Gomez, the Puerto Rican mother, twice. First in her nurse's uniform, next at a bar where she works her second shift. They obviously get off to a rough start and she ends up throwing a drink at his face, and he thinks she is the perfect woman to fool the press. However, once they start this, someone starts catching feelings. Obviously, it wouldn't be a fake dating trope without it. With that being said, this book fits 2 prompts, fake dating, and it's a sports romance because Duke is a baseball player. He is the star pitcher for the Bronx Bolts. He does tend to, come off as, arrogant, and obviously Angel doesn't like him, but they try and make it work for the press. These 3 books have been sitting on my TBR for eons, so I just decided to kind of see if I could fit them into the RomCom-Athon because I think they give me some heavy rom-com vibes. There is a 4th book I will be reading. It's not exactly a rom-com, but it does fit one of the tropes. I pre-ordered it a long time ago. I pre-ordered it back in March and it just recently got released, and that is Assistant to the Villain. This book does fit the grumpy versus sunshine trope because the villain is obviously the big old grump, and the main character, the female main character, is very sunshiny. She's very, you know, like high-strung, you know, always kind of happy. And she took the assistant to the villain job. She takes it very seriously, and she does have a little bit of a thing for the villain, because who doesn't? Who doesn't when the villain is hot? I mean, come on guys. Now, because of these two readathons, they only have about a week in between them where nothing basically is happening. So the rest of my TBR is going to vary wildly. So though that is what I have for my TBR for now. As I continue vlogging, you guys will know what I'm reading outside of these readathons, so don't worry, I will be telling you guys about them. And obviously they'll be from my currently reading list, whatever I'm reading, so don't you worry. For more details on each of these readathons, go check out the Hexed Library and Four Paws and a Book. These two ladies have more details on these two readathons, respectively speaking, because they're the ones that have originally created them, and I want to give them proper credit. I will attempt to put these videos into the description box below, that way you can find them a little bit easier than to having to go scrummage through Bree's many videos to try and find the one RomCom-Athon video that I mentioned, as well as the Summer Scare Readathon from the Hex Library. I do have a couple of readathons that are taking place over the entire year, such as Buzzwordathon by Books and Lala, as well as these books will self-destruct in 12 months, so I'm taking my time with those. But all of those I already have on my TBR, so I should be reading those in September. If I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably read them for the next, you know, however many months are left in this year. But we will see. And I will see you guys in the next video on Wednesdays.